Hello, everybody. We are doing podcast number 8 here. We have got Rikes here today, and we'll be chatting about him, about some of his experiences in row racing and how he's been getting along in his 3 or 4 years in row racing now. How you doing, Rikes? You good?
Yeah,
Just good. Nothing else.
yeah,
Nothing special, right? Fair enough. Now,
yeah.
we're going to start with the fairly default question of how did you find yourself finding Roblox and then getting integrated with the community itself first?
Well, I joined Roblox on in the summer of 2016, and I believe the first game I actually went into was Wesley's Hangout thing.
Pretty default, basically where everyone started at some point.
Yeah. However, I didn't. I kind of drifted away from racing community from there because I did like join that game a couple of times. Then I went off Roblox, and then I actually found myself joining aviation. Don't know how.
Now, do you know of see from Panda, I hear that aviation is toxic and horrible, and never join it unless you're looking to actually make loads and loads of Robux and millions of Robux. If you can't do that, don't bother. Would you say the same has been true for you?
Actually, no, because I've done the thing with aviation and me. I haven't done it consistently. I believe I've done it like in three. I guess I could call it stints where I've done that. I've gone into some random airline. I've been in there for like a couple of months, and I'm like, you know what? I'm bored. I'm gone. The community in there, once you get like properly into it, is most of the time actually proper nice, especially like between the as they call low ranks. The HRs, high ranks, I'd rather not go into that because they vary. There's like a couple of really nice ones, and then there's who are literally in the HR. You say what I'm doing, otherwise you get fired.
Yeah, I know. Recently, you've been moving around a little bit because you were an American airline at the moment. I don't know if you're still in it,
Yeah.
but you were in one for a bit, and they were like, you get just kicked from the group if you don't attend, but because you're in Estonia, you can't do it anyway. So did you end up going ahead? I can't remember. I might have been in the server, but I can't remember if you went ahead with that suicide bombing in the end.
Oh, that was actually meant to happen today, but they moved the flight time forward. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not making that flight.
So they managed to avoid a suicide bombing by moving the flight. Rip.
It literally was meant to be happening about 10 minutes ago.
Ah, right. Well, there we go. Now we're doing this instead.
Yeah,
But
backup line,
I mean, generally, like what Panda said was, row aviation is not good if you're trying to run an airline because it's not fun unless you're actually at the top. Would
You see, I went there as a just a staff member. I didn't actually go there thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna make an airline. I'm gonna make millions of Robux." Nah, I didn't actually want to, start up my own thing. I just went there to like, well, go get a job, which is pretty much Control V, Control C, Control V. Deal with the passengers. It gets boring quite quickly, but when you're looking for some like role play, like deeper roleplay thing, then you may try it out. Why not?
I mean, the majority of flights I've been on with you have literally been where you're memeing around. One we sat on and tried to glitch the plane out, and Rob was teleporting around and trying to exploit, and managed to fail, and then got banned, and then Jack got banned, and it went absolutely nowhere, and we completely failed with their objective. I assume earlier on you were a bit less like this and actually treated it like it was proper.
Yeah, when I actually like was working in airlines, there was like a golden rule like do not create unnecessary like they called it drama. Do not go into other like airlines flights just to meme about. Do not do that because you put the airline you're working at, you put it in like a bad reputation. When I was working in like the three airlines I did, I was quite active. I did what I was told. I think the highest I got was actually HR, but as I in the latest airline that I tried to do the suicide bomb again, straight when I got HR, 2 days later I got fired because I got into an argument with the owner, and yeah.
So not even like a warning for doing it.
Well, me and the owner didn't get along too well even before I got promoted to HR because it wasn't him who promoted me. It was another HR that got along with pretty well, and she was the one who did trainings with me. And yeah, literally, I failed my training flight. Obviously, when you're training for HR, you have to learn how to uh, manage the server, how to manage the passengers even more, and also how to host flights. I failed my first attempt of hosting a flight, and then there was like some drama going on with the HR. Got along with well, and well, pretty much she got vote kicked out of the thing. And I got into an argument with that owner because of that, and yeah, got banned.
Ah, yeah. So obviously then Row Racing came along not long after. Was Row Racing just something that popped into existence, or was it actually like you were actively looking into it because you wanted something different to aviation?
I've been a fan of like racing in general since I was like 10. I started watching F1 in 2015, and the only reason I got into row racing was I went to Roblox. I went to the like Roblox homepage. I typed in racing, and the first league popped up was one Roblox Racing Championship. I don't know if you've heard of that. I haven't. And joined in, DM'd the owner. Well, not DM, messaged the owner via Roblox, like, "Yo, can I let you the test or whatever?" And I somehow got the test, and I somehow passed it. I don't know how. Obviously, the device I was on back then was horrible.
Yeah, I mean that
And
was around
yeah,
season 3 time. Was
season
RRC
two.
wasn't your first league, was it?
It was. I
Really?
mean, I tried like getting into a league in 2016 August. It was like some Marlers league. I don't even know what it was.
Oh, FOCC. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that didn't go well. I did like a practice session, and then the guy I was like trying out for, he was like, "Yeah, you're like 6 seconds off the pace. We don't want you."
I don't. I assume it was only like one test because I don't actually remember. Because obviously I won FOCC. I don't actually remember you ever. I think I might remember you slightly. You might have driven like a Renault or something. Um, but I don't actually remember you showing up. But if, I didn't realize. Obviously, you did season 3. I think you tried 2 races.
RC season two.
I don't know if you ever finished one. I don't think you
No,
did.
RC season two.
Oh,
I
was it 2?
qualified for what league were on about?
RRC.
I did season two, Canada. I qualified second last. One guy was started from the pits. I didn't even make it around the first lap before I got lapped because I was lagging like yeah.
Ah,
And then you pulled me off, and that was literally the last I was in RC until season five.
yeah, fair enough. In terms of the other leagues you've done surrounding row racing, some of the earlier ones were ones such as Sam's A1 GP. I think that was beginning of 18, was that? Or was that end of 17?
A1 GP was yeah, it was like end of 17, beginning of 18, but that was actually like I had done many leagues before that. Like I owned my own league. I was doing a league called RRC. That's like when RL came from actually. But yeah, A1 GP was kind of later on in my um yeah, racing time.
Now, obviously we know it was a pretty disastrous league, but I seem to remember A1 GP was a championship you nearly won, wasn't it? But it got taken away from you.
Oh dear. I was leading the championship going into the final race by I believe 5 points. The point system was 10, 8, 6, so on. And I qualified. The final race was in Panda's Friel, and for some reason Sam thought, you know what, let's make it raining. I qualified P3. I totally did not cut the final sector, shush. Um, and I thought, you know what, let's pit at the end of the first lap. And the pitting system was, you spam 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your keyboard. And what
Yep.
happened was, instead of clicking 4, I managed to click F4, which on your laptop keyboard, it shuts the window.
Yep.
Yeah. And as rejoins were the thing back then,
DNF.
because
So you basically alt F4 your way out of a championship.
yeah, I actually did
Literal alt F4 loss. That's
yeah, I was like half a lap down. I got up to P4 in the end of the race, but my championship rival, Ceresnia, was in P2. I was like P4, P5, I don't remember. And I lost out on the championship by 1 point.
yeah.
So yeah, I came like half a lap behind to finish in the top 5.
And in terms of the rest of the leagues that Sam attempted at that point in time, it then went to F1 2007, F1 Formula Atlantic, and then I think he attempted an F1 2010 league as well. I think.
2011.
Obviously, I know you didn't attempt in any of these. Do you remember anything? Did you ever attend any like practice sessions or anything around these?
I didn't race in them, but in his 2007 attempt, I was actually helping him like in the management side. Well, best thing I remember was that the gap from the quickest car to the slowest car was 40 SPS.
Peak. Yep.
Yeah.
RSC
I
season
remember.
2 was that pretty much that bad, like 35, I think it was.
Oh, right.
Would you
Oh shit.
like? Did you see F1 2000 ending early as it did from the very beginning? Now, like looking back on it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it did like a couple of races, I believe, and then there was like one race that got cancelled, and then the league was no more.
Yeah. With Sam, obviously, he attempted like 4 or 5 leagues before he actually reached WTSI, and then that he managed to run 2 seasons on his own. Season 3 he started, but then had computer issues, so Rabbit and Rikes took over with me, like doing a couple of admin things and being given like an honorary owner rank, even though I didn't actually really do much. And now season 4 is under Rabbit's control. Then RRL, not a proud moment
Oh
for you,
no.
as you say constantly, and you didn't even really want to talk about it today, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. So have fun.
Oh no.
It wasn't yours. It
Um,
was Louis' league originally, wasn't it?
nope, it
Was it? It
wasn't.
was
It
yours
was my
originally,
league from
and
the
then Louis
beginning. It
took
was
it
mine.
over, or were they
Yeah.
two separate leagues with the same name?
Well, basically, Louis wanted to make a league, and he was like, "Yo, Rikes, I'm gonna take that name." I'm like, "Sure, I don't care."
So in like row racing canon, are they like classed as the same league, just different owner? Would you say?
I don't really. I guess so because Louis was like, "Yeah, I kind of want to take it over." I don't even remember what exactly went on, but yeah, some people see Louis's continuance of the league from what I did.
What would you say is your primary failure with the original RRL?
Um, there were a lot of them. I'd say the like funniest part was in beginning of season 2, where we had like these 2013 cars prepped up, set up by Polska, so they didn't go well. They were like slidey and literally undrivable. So 15 minutes until qualifying for round 1 of season 2, I took a executive decision to go back onto season 1 cars. 15 minutes before round 1. So
Hmm.
basically, what we did, we took the season 1 car, we like did basic like liveries onto them for the season 2 cars, and we did it with 5 minutes to spare.
Ah,
Um, Looking back at it, I just should have postponed the whole thing. But yeah, that's just one example of my
did everyone
horrible
actually update
management
their
of them.
liveries, or were those
No, they
shitty?
did. We allowed them to like. Usually, we were like, delivery you do before the season. That's what you keep. But as it was a major mess up from my end, I had enough common sense in my head back then to say like, just to redo your own liveries if you want to.
Hmm.
So yeah.
How? Looks, I actually don't know. How long did RRL actually go on for season wise?
We did well. Technically, we did 3 seasons, but we did like 7 races season 1, 4 races season 2, and we completed 3 races in season 3, and then fourth one I gave up.
Right. And then whenabouts did it end? Was that like mid 2018?
I can actually tell you straight away when it ended because if the service still exists, and I'm the only guy in here. Um, the announcement of its ending was on the 7th of March 2018.
Oh well, that's actually quite early. Um, and I think that coincides with FC nearly, doesn't it? FC has been going since last year in whatever BTEC forms it's been going in.
I actually have no clue what's been like going on with FC until season 6 because obviously like me, Rob, and a couple others went into the original FC just to meme about because yeah, we just were told that this random guy called Great TB who got banned from his PC, and yeah, we
Oh
were like,
God,
oh, we want to have a look at that,
banned
and
banned from
yeah,
his PC for looking at porn. That's something
yeah,
nobody will ever forget, ever. I mean,
yeah. Anyway,
nobody ever.
I've gotten.
It's
Yep, go
it's
on.
easy to make him not live it down, but I don't think anyone really does. I remember the when that
Yeah.
went out though. I don't even think Great was a thing in the cyber community, so everyone was like, "How there's this guy called Great. He got banned from looking at porn." I was like, everyone's like, "Ha ha ha ha, get fucked."
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to him, it wasn't by the fault of his own. I guess we can talk about that now. Basically, what happened to him was he didn't know what NSFW means, and he clicked on a certain server just on the incorrect time,
Oh, and then
and
up
that's
shows
somehow
boobs.
yeah, and that's how he got banned from his issues.
Now then, IRL was the next thing I think that you started up. That was end of 2018 now, I think. It's just reached its 1 year anniversary, hasn't it? IRL.
Actually, no.
Is
IRL
it not yet?
was booted up in September 2018.
So yeah, it's 1 year anniversary in a bit now.
Yeah, funny thing with IRL, I actually wasn't there when it started up, and I wasn't even meant to be owning that. I joined the server like 2 weeks into its existence as a driver, and the only reason I was like, can I do something else, was because we did preseason testing in Lucas's Canada, and it was so laggy. I was like, no, I can't drive. Is there anything else I can do? Lucas was like, yo, yeah, you can do like BUD, board of directors, and that's what began really. Season one, it didn't do much. I hosted a couple of races. We also memed about. We kind of blew the whole field up in one race
Oh,
with with a certain explode wall. Rob knows that. Rob knows that case. And well, when I really took command of the league was the end of it when, well, yeah, season one of IRL was a mess, and it was a total mess in the end of it because there was like, first of all, races, the tracks weren't published until like 12 or a bit more hours until the qualifying, and the tracks weren't too good, the cars weren't too good, and yeah, the final race of the season was meant to be in Singapore, but 20 minutes before qualifying, we realized that Singapore is unraceable, so we transferred everything to nights, which
wasn't that pretty bad as well? Like,
it let's say it was the best of the worst case scenarios.
because I remember that being pretty like everyone came out of the race like that was the worst race of my fucking life.
Well,
What's
you had a renner of Toodles winning that race when you had people like Morgid in Red Bull and
I mean, let's be honest, Immortal didn't really
yeah.
do a good job in season one. Yeah, he won, but
He won two races. He got like five P2s, one P3, one P4, didn't attend one race, and won the championship by
so what?
81
Jack
points.
finished second, despite doing
Jack
like
finished
four less
second, yeah.
races.
Jack didn't score in four races. He got two race wins, one P2, one P4, one P7, and lost out on the title, yeah, again by 81 points.
Was season one also? Would you say the season where like Lucas visibly began taking less care of the league?
Season one, he was like, well, yeah, season one, he did actually like more stuff in. Like, he was the one taking care of the tracks. He hosted more races than I did because sometimes I just gave up, I just went potted. But in the end of season one, I was like, nah, I feel like this league could become something like good when it's actually been managed and taken care of properly. And yeah, final race I hosted. Then we had some like Christmas event. Then I put like a big boy paragraph into announcements like apologizing and be like, yeah, we're gonna take care of this into the next season, which we did. We had like major changes, and it's kind of developed to where it is now.
But yeah, fair enough. In terms of the IRL's competition, how have you found that? Do you feel like it was too stale? Do you feel like it was good?
Season one, we had seven different race winners. Obviously, season one wasn't too good of a season, so I wouldn't like to stop on it too much. Season two was obviously when people like you and Lego, and in the end of it, Tom came in properly, and that's when, well, the league got better, but the competition was like there was a title fight in the front, and then there was like a big midfield couple, like in real life, pretty much.
Not gonna lie, but the season two, it's especially in the mid-season. I don't think I ever lost the lead to Lego, but it was the middle of season two where I wasn't driving particularly well. I think Lego at that point in time had a better grip on the car than I did. I was still kind
Uh,
of like finding my feet in a sense, and then when it came to like the latter half of the season, it suddenly like really tips in my favor. I think the end.
Actually, I can tell you straight away. You won the first three races, Lego being DNF 11th and P2. Then Lego took four race wins in a row, with you being P2, did not start, P3, and P2. Then you took three race wins in a row, Lego being second and third, and then Lego won the two final races.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a fun season. Obviously, I haven't had many seasons where I have had to take it to the last race, and um, I mean, obviously there wasn't that much of a stress going into the last race. I think I ended up with what was it? Was it a 12 or an 18-point lead at the end of the
18
season?
points, 18 points.
So
It
I
was
mean,
like, technically you won where one race to go, but the gap was actually exactly
I
25
mean,
points going to the
yeah, it
final
was a
race.
case of if I'd actually have not scored, it didn't matter where I scored.
You just had to score.
I just had to get a point to get the title, but even then, I
Yeah.
haven't had that situation much where I've actually had to think, oh, if I don't actually do this race, I'm not going to get this. Because I knew that Lego ultimately would probably win it, or P2 at worst, because that was just the
Yeah.
nature of the season.
I
Season
mean,
two and
literally,
three, Tom wasn't actually that strong relatively.
season two, we only had two race winners, being you and Lego.
As
Tom joined from round seven, so yeah.
season three, Tom wasn't actually that strong. I mean, I won 7 out of 10,
Oh yeah, season three. I've just clicked on it. Yeah, you won seven races. Tom won two. Toodles won one.
and that was a race where I drove literally the worst I could, and I still finished
It was like
P2.
Magni Core.
Was it P2 or three? A manical.
Magni Core, Toodles won, you were P2, Rob was P3.
Yeah, I drove so bad that I jumped out of the car, and I drove so badly, and I still finished P2. So
Actually, that wasn't the first time you jumped out of your car in a
nope, I did it in
race.
season
Round
two at the
eight.
same race because I won.
Yeah, but you actually did the same thing in round eight, season three, Ypres.
Oh right,
You
yeah.
like
Well,
you
no,
jumped out of your car like twice and had some other troubles with like parents and yeah.
yeah, that was a frustrating race in general. Press has never been good to me. I've only won it a couple of times, and once was in SCM where we had that stupid thrust
We
car with.
shouldn't talk about that.
No, it's
Yeah.
my favourite car I've ever built because it's the definition
It was
of how
ridiculous.
far you can push a rulebook without and keeping it in a race. It was really stupid, but I mean,
It was
it's
ridiculous.
something I keep on a plinth because it's when you're going like 20 to 30 seconds a lot quicker than the field. You've peaked.
You've done something.
Um, Now I think it's a good sort of way to continue it. Is where do you see IRL going after the end of season five and on forward?
My target, I've actually put it out there. I've noted it down. My target at the moment is to get the next era done. That is season 7 to season 9, and then I'll see how like how much time I have with school and all. So yeah, no other promises beyond season 9, but season 9 I want to do like up until that.
Fair enough, yeah. And then season 7 to 9 is was it 98 to 01? I think.
2009
Oh,
to 2011.
right, 2009, 2011. I mean, fair enough. I mean, 9 seasons for a league is generally really good. RRC is a big outlier in the sense that we've gone as far as we have. I don't think any league in open wheel has lasted since the start of 2017 at the same time we have. They've all died at some
Yeah,
point. WTSI started at the end of sort of mid of 2018, and that's been so fluctuant that even it's difficult to say it's been a stable league, whereas RRC has been really stable. The only couple of blips we've had were in season 6, where I was moving house, so um, there were a lot of like
yeah, I remember that.
postponing, and season 7 obviously had Anderstorp, which was really messy. Um, Like literally, like on the minute or like a minute after I said I was going to cancel the race, we then suddenly my instinct came back and like, oh, we can run this now.
Oh wait, wasn't it when Lego got really angry at
Yeah,
that?
unfortunately, Lego decided that because I was not holding the race at that point in time, I think he went and headed off straight away and went off his computer literally at like that very minute.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It wasn't the best thing, like it wasn't the best thing for me to do on my end, but it was a case of like my internet was so unstable at that time that if we didn't run the race at that time, next week could be just as bad.
Yeah, I remember
So it
that.
was a really difficult situation to be in because my internet was so bad at that point in time because I was having to use like tethered internet and the situation was just not stable at all.
Yeah, fair enough.
Then moving on to the next little bit, how would you personally feel like your reputation extends across racing and communities as a whole?
Um, it's got better. I can put it that I can say that because again, going back to like IRL, before IRL was a thing, I don't think I was like really known. I was like I did RC season 5, couple of races that didn't go too well, and that's literally like all I did. Or like that time, this side of the community because they're like it was split, and it's got better with IRL, especially like after season 2. Like I'm actually known as a league owner, and IRL is not too bad of a league at the moment. So yeah, so I'd say the reputation, in my opinion at least, there might be like some people agreeing or disagreeing with that. Not too bad at the moment.
Anything else to elaborate on there, or is that's that cover all your points?
Don't really think there's much more to be honest.
Fair enough, yeah. And then, um, what about sort of maybe not your own reputation, but how do you feel like? Have you had any problems with like your leagues or any problems that you've encountered with racing in general that you felt like shouldn't really be a thing at all?
Well, obviously there's been like some trolling going on within servers. We know one certain person who keeps making alt accounts and ends up in ban lists of the leagues. Cough. Yeah, that's like one problem I've seen. Obviously, there's been like some people say that row aviation and row football are toxic communities, but to be completely honest, racing isn't that much better. Like not to like us who have been in here for quite some time, but to like newcomers. I've kind of noticed that when there's like someone new joining in, especially now when we have the threat of alt accounts, we have not been like too nice to them, and most like potential newcomers have literally been like, "Oh, you're new? Well, yeah, no." That's like what I've seen from the servers I'm in.
It's a bit of a difficulty really with newcomers now because of the sheer fact that well-known members will make alts and try and get into into servers as if they're brand new people, and obviously with Mikhail doing it so much,
Yeah,
it's really difficult to trust new people. I think that's just a well-known thing at this point. Is trust is really difficult with new members because you have to do so much checking to make sure they're actually a new member and not just someone else trying to alter their way into a server because for whatever XYZ reason they have. Season 5, you had Morjat doing it on I Robertson, and
oh, I remember
he
that.
got away with it for like 5 races, and he won. I think he won 2 races or 1 race. So, and he ended up getting disqualified from the World Championship when he was found out for it. And it's things
Yeah,
like that that it's really easy to just lose your trust in you guys because people who aren't new do it. They will alt, and there's no way of you really telling if they actually put on a good act until someone else finds
yeah,
out, very good information, or they accidentally give themselves away, or something like that. How Morjan was found out is because he ratted himself out to Polska, who then immediately spread it with everyone else, saying, "This is Morjan. This is Morjan."
yeah.
I mean,
I think with more, yeah, go on.
the thing with the Ian Robertson account is I'd seen it in Ernest's football league. Uh, I can't remember what it was. Might have been Rofer or something. But I'd seen it in there before, so I just thought, oh, it's just a pro football dude coming over here, and yeah, I should have really
Um,
saw it as Morjat in the first place.
thing with Ian Robertson, he also went and did a couple of races in Sam's F1 2006 league. That was the first time I saw him, and that, when I recall correctly, was before he did the RC thing.
Um, Now, obviously, another sort of person who's a bit of a like a bad word to talk about. The whole thing between, I think, mainly Rob and Darla at the moment, especially like for example with Project Apex. How Rob and a few other people like Javier and whatnot have managed to really stir up some mess in a YouTuber server over basically trying to call Darla out and then bringing Project Apex into it as well because the YouTuber made a video on Darla's game. How do you sort of react to all of this stuff relating to Darla, and how do you yourself deal with people like Darla?
Well, personally, I don't want to get involved. In my opinion, people like Dala, just let them do their own thing, let them be in their own bubble, and they'll leave us alone as well, I guess. Um, People like who keep going there on again alt accounts, troll about. I just don't get why, because even when they give to you some retarded answers and just being weird, um, why do you like take the effort and mess about in there? That's like I don't get that.
I mean, the thing with Darla is like, over the past like half a year or so, I haven't talked to him at all, and he hasn't done anything to me either. There was that whole scare about Darla's friends leaking out models of people it happened to Blaine and shit, and everyone panicked like, "Oh, make sure to attack Darla and leak his shit and all this." And it's like, just leave him alone. He only threatened. He hasn't actually done it to anyone else. The only person he did it to was
Yeah.
Blaine. And I mean, I've had my stuff leaked before. It sucks, but there's not really a lot you can do unless you approach the person who actually did it to you. Everyone else
I
trying
mean,
to like bandwagon in and do shit is only going to aggravate the problem.
yeah. Again, as long as you leave them alone, they'll most likely leave you alone because Dala may be a lot of things, but he's at least got that much like intelligence in him that he knows he's not gonna just come to us and do some shit when we leave him alone. That's like the one thing I rate at Dala. So yeah.
How do you see the state of the community itself at the moment of racing in general?
There's like couple of uh, it at too bad of a place at the moment. It's kind of stable, but again, we've got some people being like putting up paragraphs. Oh, I'm gonna leave 2 weeks later, just appear back. So I don't think it's in a too bad of a place at the moment. But I do see in like near future, 2020, maybe in 2021, I do see leagues like people losing interest in them. With we all get older, and those who are like 14, 15, 16 at the moment, they well, again, get older, don't have the time to do leagues anymore. And yeah, I do unfortunately see like in a couple of years' time, leagues kind of dropping out, dying.
Yeah, I mean, I think with games like Panda's game coming out, Wes has got a game coming out soon, and there's a few existing ones. I mean, FRA at this stage is in a pretty bad place now because of all the shit that's going on over the past couple of days. I feel like those games will do good work at like trying to get people involved because they'll be able to have a platform to race on. And I mean,
Yeah, sure.
people like you, people like me, so many people. I've done, this is the eighth podcast, and I think just about everyone has said I started out playing Wes's Hangout or Deadly Doom. I think one person said Deadly Doombug's game. I started out by messing around on Deadly Doombug's F1 game. I tried the Hangout a couple of times. It was through the Hangout that I think TT Kemmer asked me about racing for him in OHR for his Renault team. In which then I did the young drivers test and then passed and then went to do a couple of tests for Zephyr and Renault, which I then went with Renault. So I think public racing games, as much as a lot of them are really bad in terms of the people who drive on them, there are, like 5% who are actually really, really good and might find that actually they transfer through to competitive racing where it's more official, equos official.
Yeah. Obviously, like Panda's game and Wesley's game, they could help. I hope to do, but again, it's not only that new people coming in, but there's also like who own the leagues, like the bigger ones, like you, me. Well, Sam's gone now. Great in the future is probably going to think about leaving as well. it's also that fact as well. Like even if there's people, there may not be like the guys who actually own leagues or run them.
I mean, I think there'll always be people who are willing to run them. I mean, ultimately, there's never as many people who run leagues as drive. There's a lot more nowadays. A lot more people. I think mainly like because of RRC IRL. A lot of people like, oh, that's doing really well. I think I fancy starting up a league. SF started
Yeah,
up, I think, because of Tail driving an RRC and wanting a league of his own at some point. WTSI was mostly Sam trying to get a successful league going. Um, I know you took a few ideas from RRC to be able to get you into a stable place, so I
yeah,
think that's a lot of influence on existing leagues for new ones starting up. Um, so I feel
yeah. I
like
guess
if there's a couple of leagues going that are high level, I feel like the rest will kind of come over time for people.
there's like 4 high leagues going on in this league at this side of the community at the moment.
I'd
Those
say
were
like
like
yeah, you've got obviously mine RRC, IRL's sort of like tier 1.5. You've got Rabbit with WTSEC at the moment, which is around that level as
yeah.
well. FC, I'd say is a little bit below. I wouldn't say it's really top level. Um, IGTO and SF. IGTO especially, I think, still has some work to do. Knight still isn't really stable enough with how he runs it. There's still a lot of
Thing
teething problems.
Yeah, I think with Knights League, the league itself looks awesome. The racing is good, and even with Collide, like despite the lap one crashes, it was good racing. Only thing like in the is Knights like management. Everything else is fine.
It's one of the age-old issues is that he's not authoritative enough, and then when he is, he does it for the wrong reasons. So he kind of just looks a bit silly. Um, and he does weird things like last in season one, he tried to give two people. I think it was at whatever Louis' track was, Mantop.
Mantra.
He tried to give a couple of people 3 points just because they made him happy. Legitimately, for nothing else other than he thought they did really well. He wanted to give them 3 points. And it's things
Okay.
like that just makes it difficult to take him seriously sometimes because you're thinking, no, this is like an official competition here. You don't just give people freebies because, oh, better luck next time. You'll always be the winner in my heart kind of
You'll get there.
situation. You get the points you get at the end of the day, and that was a while ago, but it's little things like that he does that I think it's a bit silly. I think he also tried to give someone a 3 point this season. It's like, no, you've done this before. Just don't.
Uh, One thing he also like does, and what I've noticed is like, and that's not only Knight's fault. Again, it was like Lewis's track, where a couple of people who literally like made a mistake and were like, "Yo, gonna be rejoined," and I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." That like what kind of confused me.
Yeah, and rejoins are difficult because they're very circumstantial based. If someone
Well,
disconnects and it's a legitimate disconnect, fine, they'll be rejoined. It's difficult to tell if someone does it on purpose, but generally I think it's better to trust people that are not being assholes because at the end of the day, you're more likely to rejoin them in a bad position than you are a good one. You're very likely to lose out unless you're actually managing it yourself and giving yourself the proper position.
nah, what happened there was like there was like I don't remember who it was. Made a mistake. Didn't even like leave the game. He literally pulled off
That
and was
was
like, "Yeah,
Lucas.
oh yeah, I wasn't. Yeah." It was like, "Yeah, can I get the position back, please?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, no
Pretty sure
problem."
Knight refused, didn't he? No, Knight gave him a penalty at the end, didn't he?
I don't remember.
I
I know Lucas got that position in the end.
Did he? I swear there was a whole load of shenanigans at the end
He
because
got the
of.
position, and then I think he got a penalty, but on different reasons,
Let's have a
a
look.
pit lane or something. I don't even know.
Because I seem to remember that even more. So I think he tried to do it and then revoked it. It
Yeah,
was
maybe.
like not. I think it's got potential, but Nike sort of makes these very silly errors, and it's like
I
you
mean, yeah, go on.
you need to make sure that you're making definitive decisions and not.
The league itself looks really good. It's unique. Attendance is actually brilliant as it stands at the moment. Only thing lacking is Knights like management.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with that. Where do you see yourself in row racing sort of down the line? Obviously, I know you're not sure about IRL, but do you see yourself being in the community for a long time to come from now, even if it's not racing, just being
Um,
in the community itself.
thing with this is, and I haven't put too much of this out in like actual service, I mean, but I've discussed it with a couple of people, and basically you don't have to necessarily race or own a league or literally like you can just exist in a server
Yeah.
to and still be in the community. And that's like I believe after season 9, maybe after season 12 when I run last that long. Um, when I do consider like stop owning IRL and stop driving, I don't think I'm just gonna do like, yo, I'm gone, bye, literally do a fill.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna do that. Um, I've been in the community for, well, 2020 May would be third year. Um, I've started like, I like this community a lot, and I don't see myself like actually leaving the servers and just stop talking to everyone. I don't see myself doing that.
Yeah. And I sort of got a few bits left. About some leagues. So FC. Obviously, you've competed since season 6. It's now season 8.
Yeah.
How sort of has it evolved? Obviously, season 6, Lucas won the title, and it was kind of like it was going kind of wrong for you. Lucas ended up taking the title. Season 7, you then won the title.
Yeah.
How do you value that title, and do you feel like it was a good fight in both seasons?
Season 6 was a proper fight. I lost out because of a class trip. I had to miss the second last race. And as Mercedes was so OP, we were like 25 SPS ahead of anyone else. There was literally no way Lucas was finishing anywhere else but second, especially the final race was on a SPS dominant track. We lapped the field twice. Yeah. Season 6, despite Mercedes being OP, I enjoyed that title fight because it went down to the wire. I lost it in the end by 3 points, but it was a good fight. Season 7 was a bit boring because in the first half of the season, I took 5 wins in the first 7 races. And well, Lucas only had like 1 win. We had Squid Bubbles winning a race somehow. I had a really bad day then. And then I was like, I guess I didn't try enough. Plus, we had the car reset on different reasons. And then Santa Marina came in clutch and got like wins in the second half of the season. But in the end of the day, I won that title by 71 points. It got quite boring in the end.
Yeah, I think I think the final topic, unless we come up with anything else, I want to sort of. I think it was a fun moment for both of us. It got a lot of people annoyed. But SAM season 2, obviously a bit of a meme in terms of the rulebook was completely non-existent. We ended up producing cars that were absolutely stupid. How did you find racing in that and the whole experience of how it all went?
One word, ridiculous. Um, what the hell were those cars? I loved it. Even though like I didn't get a single win, I literally got Pichu every race. Um, it was just something else,
So
and
obviously,
in a good way actually.
I think it's the first time I've actually had been able to have complete like free roam over a car. I've done custom car leagues plenty. I've done FS. I've done Rob's WRL, which I produced a complete Frankenstein of a car, and I won the title, the drivers, but it was too bad to win the
Constructors.
constructors. Only I was driving, and it was awful to drive. I tried a thing with it,
Yeah.
to try and get some forces on the car in a way that was legal, but it didn't really work. And the car became really unstable, so it's basically fishtailing every corner. I don't know if you went to the press race for the last race of the
I was
season,
there. Oh, I think I actually had to host that.
but if you watch me through the corners, you'd see I go through a corner and the back end just creeps out and creeps out. I'd correct it and then it would just snap and throw me into the barrier the other side.
All I remember from that race was that in the first sector you were not having fun in the hairpins.
Yeah, the car was snapping around, and not only was it really like there was no rear end stability, but it was really unpredictable as well. So you could never predict when it was actually just going to decide, no thanks. This wasn't
Didn't
probably.
you like? Yeah, go on.
This wasn't a problem in the other races because I had such a lead that my mistakes didn't really matter.
I swear, like, lost the constructor championship lead in the final race as
Yeah, I
well.
don't know if I think winning would have made a difference, but
The Toyotas got a 1-2. You got B3, and they only just won the constructors.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't really. The Toyota wasn't that great of a car, but I wasn't going for the constructors because at the end of the day, I didn't have. Phil was supposed to be driving for me. And he did one race, so.
Yeah, I remember you didn't have a teammate the whole season,
But
pretty
the
much.
SEM car, we introduced it at the start of the season with body forces. The car itself wasn't as good as it could have been actually. There was something I didn't take advantage of fully enough, which was actually tire density. I made it too heavy.
Mm,
Then
yeah.
people began introducing them. First, it was it
It was,
Miguel? Was it Miguel?
yeah,
Miguel
Miguel, yeah.
introduced body forces at Phoenix, which wasn't a problem because the car itself was still like a second or two off.
Yeah.
Then Rob introduced them at a press, and I think
Oh, yeah.
there were a bit of it scattering elsewhere as well. So his car actually ended up being better than ours initially because of the fact that my car wasn't as good as it could have been. So I went back to the drawing board, updated to what would have been my season 3 car, but made it for season 2 regs obviously to make it look nicer and whatnot. I made it better, so it was even without the body forces, it was like 3 or 4 tenths a lap quicker. And then I introduced the thrust system, which immediately gave us 20 or 30 seconds a lap advantage. I think
I still am questioning how did, like, I couldn't even drive properly with that.
basically you'd go on a straight and you just floor it, and
I
then
mean, I
you'd lift off at the exact point you don't need it. If you lifted off too early, then it would spin out because you had to get back on it. So you just
it's,
lift off and stay off of it.
I
Use lots
tried
of
that.
walls.
I tried that, but that caused me doing a 7-10 sector one because he yeeted through the first sector.
But that was honestly, it was fun. It annoyed a lot of people, but I don't regret it. It was honestly such a fun car. For season 3, I had an 8-wheeled car, um, and
It's actually a shame it couldn't like actually
it
happen.
was quick. It was not. It was about 4 seconds a lap slower than the one we ran for season 2, but
No, not 4 seconds. We were literally only 1 second off.
it was quick. So it's a shame we couldn't have run it, but that's whatever. It's now an interesting showpiece to tell people about.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else? Any final messages to leave before we end off this?
Um, Watch out for the beans. They want to steal your eggs.
Right. There we go. Thank you everyone for watching the podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Unlike the Grow the Grid podcast, there is no adverts in this one, which is why we're better than Formula One.